Good morning, IGCSE students and parents, to yet another episode of Directed Writing Questions. Today we are looking at diary entries, and diary entries, like all students and everybody knows, that is an informal writing text type. It requires students to write informally, but it does not really require you to write colloquial English of your regional standards. So what you need to make sure of while you're writing diaries is that you are following and definitely following an informal register, but you are also using first person narration. You are absolutely able to indicate the location in time, and you have mentioned the date or the day as a header on the diary entry itself. You will definitely be reading the paragraphs or reading the passage absolutely carefully, because I don't think there is any other option for that, because it's a reading paper, reading extended paper 1, and you will get 15 content marks for just reading. So I cannot emphasize any more on the fact that you need to read it carefully and pick up the 15 points based on those 3 bullet points. And now when you're writing, you need to make sure that you sound reflective. You have to sound reflective, and if you look at this particular portion here, you will see that reflection is something that you need to make absolutely clearly. Another one that you need to write in terms of you need to put the date on the top. You need to make sure that you are able to read the question thoroughly and are able to assume the persona well. Now, when we say here writer's personality, you need to make sure that you are the author, or you have sufficiently assumed the persona that the question has asked you to. Also make sure that you are using those key moments that the question expects you to include in your writing. For example, there is one example given on the second page of this particular handout that I'm using for the YouTube explanation. You can download this handout from acadsense.com, www.acadsense.com. You can download this handout from there for your personal use. It's absolutely free for you. Now, you need to make sure that you need to focus on the key moments and the incidents in the world of the characters in the passage. You need to be a part. Make sure that you do that. Provide a sense of time and sequence. You need to make sure that you use time connectives, like those transition words: finally, afterwards, earlier that day. So make sure you are giving a sense of time by using these kind of words. Time connectives are absolutely important. Now, another thing that will make your diary entry very genuine and very effective in terms of style and writing is the use of punctuation. Make sure you use, of course, everybody uses full stops and commas, but is there any other kind of punctuation that you're aware of? Do you know how to use a colon? Do you know how to use a semicolon? Do you know what a hyphen does? Do you know what and a forward slash does, or a backward slash does? So you need to make sure that you're using them. Do you understand what a parenthesis does? Do you really need to use them in the brackets? And if you do, what is the effect of it? You need to be looking at all those aspects on usage of punctuation. So make sure that you've done that bit of homework. Moving forward, your diary entry, all diary entries for that matter, are emotional pieces. So make sure your emotions reflect the dilemma and the problems that the character is facing on the basis of that passage. So make sure you have done that bit, of course, as well. Another thing that I cannot emphasize more on, you have to express your feelings. The only audience in a diary entry is you yourself. And when you yourself are the audience, you can freely express your feelings. We don't really like to express our feelings to people we don't know, but our diary is absolutely personal. And further, here are 2 examples of people who would tend to get a kind of grade C or a grade A would do. A student who might get a grade C will be able to use first person and will be able to give a sense of character. This is the part here. And those students will also be able to use time references and use details from the text correctly. Now, if you do this bare minimum, you might end up with a C. But if you move ahead and do this bit, the 3 important pillars, you might get A's and A stars. It's not very difficult. All you have to do is just focus and write. So you need to capture the voice of the person in their world. Make sure that you have captured the voice absolutely correctly and they are in the context of the passage. Once you've done this bit, you are more likely to get A's and A stars. Moving forward, you need to make sure that it is a vivid portrayal of what has happened and what is happening to them. Make sure you have used contextual details, contextual facts to emphasize on what is happening to them. Make sure you have done it correctly. Make sure you have used tenses correctly. Make sure you have used all these grammar aspects correctly, not to lose marks in terms of language usage. So an effective diary entry piece would look like what? Here is a quick checklist to make sure that you have written a good diary entry. The first one is, does it use an informal tone? So make sure that it use informal tone. Make sure that it is written in first person. Make sure that it uses emotive language. Make sure it is in the chronological order. The time as mentioned in the passage is reflected in the same way by you in your diary entry. The opinions and points of views that you've mentioned are the correct points of views and are the correct ideas and opinions that that character would put across. You should use correct sense of time. You should use a variety of tenses, past tense, present tense, all the regular and irregular verbs you need to use, and make correct use of paragraphs. Once you've done this bit, I think nobody can stop you from getting an A and an A star. So make sure you get back to the YouTube channel of AcadSense, or else if you need further clarification or details on this particular part, you can mail me on coronaseptum@gmail.com. Last podcast I had not given you my mail ID, so here it is. Make sure you've done that.